Hi, I'm Jack. This is my poster. And I worked for ESB Networks Telecoms, which is a small subdivision of networks in the ESB. Essentially, an overview of what telecoms does is connectivity between ESB sites is the main thing. Is after a site's constructed, the ESB need to be able to know what's going on that site. Is there a fault? Are we having any troubles? Correct amount of power getting through? Uh, Telecoms provides the equipment to see that. And this comes in the form of SCADA, and the SCADA system will automatically detect these. We can either send someone out to repair them or we can reroute the power through somewhere else. Along with this, telecoms will work with a lot of customers as we have to build a fiber network and a lot of other communication networks such as microwave, radios, and satellite systems for the SCADA system. We don't use all the bandwidth, so some of that bandwidth gets sold off to customers, and we also provide connectivity for a lot of customers onto especially the fiber grid in my case. And yeah, so then on to my team, which was strategy and regulation. We mainly worked with PR6, which is how much telecoms was going to spend over the coming 6 years. Uh, we then went into also I worked with AirGrid as well. We have to check if some of their sites are viable for connection and tell them any problems and resolve that. We also did short and long-term strategy for telecoms. So then on to areas of engineering I worked in while I was in the company. So I would have used power engineering, obviously in the ESB. It's good to have knowledge on power engineering. And then I definitely went on to network engineering was very important. Being in any division of networks, when I was in telecoms, which uses it even more for the SCADA systems completed. The whole thing is set up on one network. Being able to understand everything that was going on in there was very useful. Digital communications was very useful for anything to do with the radios. If I was working with any radio at all, microwave radio or the others, I was able to understand that a lot easier. Computer engineering was useful actually for Power BI when I worked on that. Just having any knowledge of coding made the coding in Power BI so much easier. Work I did while I was in the company, so I worked on PR6, which was the document that covers how much we're going to spend. I then went on to one of my big projects was a SharePoint I worked on. I had to learn SharePoint from the ground up, how to correct file management systems. It was all independent as well. It was a very good project to do. I learned a lot on that one. I also did a work planner, which was so that essentially all the members of the team would put in what projects they're working on in that week and an estimated finishing time that was done through Power BI, which is, as I said earlier, very easy to learn. Um, I also worked on a HV program, which was with external EY contractors. It was very useful to work with them as it was good to see how other companies worked with the ESB, as I was directly on their team sometimes and wouldn't have contact with any other ESB staff. And I did air grid connectivity studies, which is checking if air grid sites are viable for connection to our system. So now I think this internship will shape my career. Is I think it's definitely reinforced my interest in digital communications, especially after some of the sites. They're very interesting. They're very cool. Seeing all the server racks, seeing how they're set up, it's very fun. I definitely have more of a preference towards technical work, which I got to do a bit of while I was in there, especially on the servers and stuff like that. Actually getting onto site is very fun. Um, I definitely have an improvement in my project management skills. When I was working with that EY team, they were all project managers, and being able to improve them skills was very important. And PowerPoint, Word, and Excel, I've all used them massive amounts of while I was there, so they've improved. Dealing with customers, especially professional setting, I'm much more confident talking to them. And I think just working with the team as a whole is a lot easier when you're doing it for a couple of months. You start to get used to it. Anyways, that's my posture. Thanks for listening.